guys, Sherri from Plants for All Seasons. I just wanted to take some time out of my day and give you a little tour of our Veggie Gardener's Paradise. This whole section here is just vegetables. A whole table of peppers, a whole table of mixed vegetables, over 50 varieties of tomatoes. And we've taken the work out. If you want small tomatoes, we've put them in this section. Grape tomatoes, they get larger as we go around. We've got every variety available. So if you're a celebrity tomato person, we have celebrity. If you're a beef master, we have beef master. And it goes all the way down this row to your heirlooms, your giant heirlooms. So if you have a favorite tomato, we probably have it in stock right now. So I wanted to touch on that. And tomatoes are tomatoes. All of them will set fruit here. We've just got to get them planted as soon as possible. So don't wait. Get out this weekend. Get your tomatoes planted. We don't want to wait till the end of the month because you want to make sure that you give yourself enough time before our nighttime temperatures get over 76 degrees, and we will get there really quick. After that nighttime temperature gets over 74 to 76 degrees, our tomatoes shut down their production. So get them planted. Let's plant them right. Let's get our tomatoes going so that we can have a plentiful harvest this year. So real quick, I just want to go over planting instructions. So if you're going to do it, let's do it right. So first you pick out your tomato, decide if you want cherry tomatoes, which are indeterminate. They kind of grow and produce, or do you want to sauce a bunch of tomatoes and process them for freezing and canning? Then you would probably want to go with more of a determinate type of tomato. So those will grow, set a ton of fruit, so you have a ton of fruit to process at one time. Because if you're doing an indeterminate, a lot of times you don't have enough to do saucing with, so make sure you pick the right tomato for your situation. I'm going to go ahead and plant a celebrity tomato today, and you would come in and go, wow, that's a tall tomato. To me, that's how I like to purchase my tomatoes. I want them tall so I can plant more of it underground, because we're going to plant 80% of this plant underground, and that scares a lot of people. But if we plant it underground, all these little root hairs will make roots. The more root system we have, the stronger root system we have, the more tomatoes our plant can manage. So let's get them planted soon, and let's plant them right. So first of all, what I'm going to do is, I know 80% of this plant is going under the ground. I'm going to pinch off everything below where my fingers are, just like so. Right? Easy cheesy. Pull off the pot, and I'm going to dig a big hole, and I'm going to go deep. And in the bottom of my hole, I am going to put fertilizer. Now, if you're planting in the ground in an existing garden, buy a really good high quality compost, cow manure, anything that's real bacterial compost, like your manures, cow manure, chicken manure, all that good stuff, and amend your soil that way. If we're doing container gardening for tomatoes, get a really high quality potting soil. We have several here, Ocean Forest, Strawberry Fields. That's what they're for. They're 4 pots, and we want to do something 4 pots. So dig a big hole, and we're going to put a handful of tomato food. Now, tomato food is important because it has special nutrient needs. We need a high calcium fertilizer. So mix that into the bottom, and we're going to put our tomato in here. And remember, we're going deep. Don't be scared. Don't do this with anything else besides tomatoes.
Why do you need a calcium fertilizer?
Okay, so calcium is very important for tomatoes because they get something called blossom end rot. So if we put a high calcium fertilizer in the hole at the time of planting, it takes the chance of getting that blossom end rot down significantly. So what happens is, when we get really hot and we have tomatoes on our plant, if we don't have enough calcium for that plant to pull the calcium to the bottom, then we get a rot spot on the bottom of our tomato, and then that tomato's ruined. So we want to try to prevent that by using something that has a high calcium content. So we get this tomato planted, we have it deep, we get the soil around it. I always like to prepare for a fast growth on a tomato. So figure out how you're going to support this tomato. Tomatoes are vines, right? So we need something that's going to support our tomato. Whether you're going to do a stake and attach it, that's too much work for me because I'm very busy. So I like to do a cage at the time of planting. Tomatoes will get 12 foot tall, so prepare for that. Do the biggest cage that you can do. I do a real sturdy, heavy gauge cage. This tomato will grow out of this, and midsummer it'll fall over on itself. And probably by July, you're ready to be done with tomatoes anyways. So make sure you do a big enough cage. Don't buy those little tiny cages. So we get it planted. We decided how we're going to stake it. We need to water it in with a liquid seaweed. This is my favorite liquid seaweed, or Fox Farms Kelp Me Kelp You. Either one are great. I use the Microlife to water my tomatoes in, so put it in a watering can. Water it in really good. So the liquid seaweed at the root level is going to help with root development. Okay, it's going to help it get off to a really good start. Then what I do is about once a week, I go out in my garden with my favorite little sprayer here, and I do a foliar application of the seaweed. I put the seaweed inside here, and I spray. And you do it before 10 a.m. or after 7 p.m. And why you do that is because the little stomata on the leaves, the little cells are wide open. They're like little teacups. And when you feed them with this, it goes into those little cells and fills them up and makes that cell wall really, really tough. So a lot of times insects that come along can't penetrate those leaves. And it's actually going to feed your plant. So feeding foliar leaves is very important. And then about every 2 weeks I'm out there, I'm spraying, I'm managing my tomatoes, I'm making sure that they grow through my cage. And then you want to thin them out. And this is hard to show on a video, but on this tomato here, we have what's called sucker growth. So if you look down where there's a V, where there's an intersection, there's this little branch coming out. That's a sucker. We want to pinch those off, okay? And as they grow, every little intersection that gets one of those little suckers, we want to pinch that out so that we can have good airflow through our tomato. This one's already setting little flowers, so he'll be setting fruit here soon, which is super exciting. Now this one was planted last week, so you can see the growth difference in these tomatoes. So good soil, good fertilizer, get them planted soon, and then you should have success with your tomatoes. And we're here to help you get your green on. Thanks.